All right, everybody, welcome back to the #1 television program in the history of the entire universe. I am Brian Lee Durfee, author of The Forgetting Moon, The Blackest Heart, and The Lonesome Crown. All three books published by Simon & Schuster's Saga Press. Today I'm going to be reviewing Teckla by Steven Brust. This is book number 4 in his Vladimir Taltos series of about, I think there's about 16 books. I think that it might be about 19 books long when he finishes the series. I'm not sure about that. But this is book number 4. I am reading these books and reviewing them on the channel. So far, I have reviewed 4 of the books. And I am reading them in publication order, not chronological order. That should make sense to most of you. These books are about Vladimir Taltos, the assassin and thief and wisecracking dude that lives in the Dragarian Empire or whatever it is. And all of these adventure books that I've got here, they follow his adventures. Steven Brust wrote them in a certain chronological order, but not a publication order, if that makes sense. And I don't have the time or energy to articulate any more about it than that. But anyway, I've been reviewing them, and so far I've reviewed the first 3 books that he wrote in the series, and that is Taltos, Jerrig, and Yendi. And now we are to Teckla. And as you can see, the book covers are dope. The spines all look pretty good. I mean, it just is a pretty decent series overall. Every single book has a cover by the great artist Stephen Hickman. And I'm telling you, let's just get into this book review right now. This is my second favorite book in the series, bar none. My first favorite was Jerrig, which is the very first one he wrote in the series. This one is really cool because it is the one book in the entire series that really concentrates on Vladimir Taltos's sort of interpersonal relationships that he has with his wife and his grandfather and some of the people that work for him, more so than any of the other books. And that's why I like this. This is a really personal book for our main character, Vladimir Taltos, wherein a lot of things start to go sideways and upside down in his life, with his relationships with just about everybody, friends, family, and everything. So, to set it up, the Dragarian Empire, the city of Adrelanca, the Dragarans are sort of these elf-like creatures. They live a long time, and they kind of look down on the humans. There are all of these different types of tribes and or noble houses named after all these different things like Teckla. There are Teckla, there are Jerrig, there are Yendis, there are Phoenixes, Aetheras, Orcas, Dragon, Isola, Dazur, Jagala, Ioric, Teasa, Hawk, Leorn. There's a whole bunch of different noble houses and different types of races, and they all are kind of competing and vying for a lot of different political things and stuff within this fantasy world that Steven Brust has created. This book has got a lot going for it and a lot going on in it. First of all, of which is Vladimir Taltos, our main character. He's an assassin, a spy, a thief, just an overall wisecracking dude that's inhabiting this landscape of Adrelanca. And it's a city. Adrelanca itself is a city, a character unto itself. It's just got all these different, like the south side, north side, west side, east side, all these different parts to it, like the ghetto parts, the rich parts, the aristocratic parts, the parts where the police hang out. It's got the police or the Phoenix Guards. Oh, one of the things that's cool about this is there is reference to, because Steven Brust also has another series of books set in this universe called the Phoenix Guards, which are about sort of the guardsmen of the city. And this is, I think, one of the first books where some of the characters from that series are sort of mentioned in vice versa. Anyway, so our main character, Vladimir Tarletos, is an assassin. And this is where he has to come to a conclusion, good or bad, about what he does for a living. Because his grandfather, Noishpa, is sort of like lecturing him on what he does for a living. Like, why do you kill people for a living? And he really puts this out to Vladimir in such a way that Vladimir really has to kind of look inward and try to figure out if he's really a good person. At the same time, his wife, Kati, who he is in love with, is involved in sort of a revolution of sorts within the city that Vlad Taltos himself doesn't necessarily agree with. And she has sort of banded together with a group of dudes that Vladimir Taltos himself really hates. And this causes, of course, a lot of strife in his marriage. And he has to navigate a lot of things with all of this kind of piling on top of him. And it's really the one book in the series where we really get to see a more toned down, because the guy is a wisecracking, he's got his little dragon friend that sits on his shoulder and kind of they talk back and forth. They got a lot of banter, and the banter is pretty clever in this one too, but it's a little bit this is a little bit more of a serious book, just because of we don't know, and Vlad doesn't know, if his marriage is going to survive this turmoil that this book introduces. So I'm just going to read. I listened to this book. In fact, all of these books I've been listening to on audible.com. I've read them several times, like the old-fashioned way, like reading. But I'm listening to these on every time I drive down to my parents' house. They live about 2.5 hours away from me. And every time I drive down there, I put on one of these books on my Audible, because they're about 5 hours long. They're not very long. And they're about 5 hours long each if you speed up the speed on the Audible, if you know what I'm saying. And so I can listen to one book on my drive there and back. In fact, I've done it so many times I'm starting to associate visiting my parents with listening to these books. Anyway, I was going to read the back of it, and then we'll get into, and then I'll just give my rating, which is going to be good. Okay, the Teckla were revolting. Teckla were lazy, stupid, cowardly peasants. Revolting, old joke, but now they were revolting against the empire. New joke. And a Jerrig crime lord, feeling the pinch, was popping the rebels. No joke. But the real joke, Vladimir Taltos was protecting them. Lord Vlad Taltos, loyal grandson, loving husband, Jerrig, sorcerer, assassin, everything the rabble hated. Not that Vlad craved wet nursing a mob of slogan-slobbering, doomed radical loonies, all of whom wanted him dead, particularly since his royal peers, all of the House Jerrig, also wanted him dead. That's pretty much it, you know. So, 10 out of 10. This is one of my favorite Vlad Taltos books. Loved it. Absolutely perfection.